Hey there, YouTube. How's it going? Heir of Carthage here, and I have a guest with me. Let him introduce himself.
Hey guys, it's Hannibal Bonaparte, AA Shogun on Shogun 2.
And you might be able to see from the giant mob of cavalry that we are indeed cav spamming. Do you want to explain the circumstances here, Hannibal?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we're playing these two guys, NG84 and Fight FM, and we actually played these guys in a match-made battle, pretty much the previous battle, excluding one, but pretty much the previous battle, and we brought, reasonable armies, and they cav spammed completely and totally, and we didn't know how it worked. Because they kind of just ran right through all of our spears, and we're kind of mad. So, lo and behold, next battle, we get to play them again, match made, and so we decided to cav spam. And
That's right.
we were laughing all the time.
And Hannibal was actually playing some mind games on him in the lobby. You want to tell him what you're up to there?
Oh yeah, I was just kind of reminding them of the fact that they had spammed cav. Like, just very subtly, so that they might think that we were prepared for them to spam cav again, so that we might, like, bring Yari Samurai or something, which obviously, as you can see, we didn't. So, we were hoping that they'd bring lone swords and matchlocks and bows and stuff like that, and guess what they brought?
Indeed. So what's funny about this battle is that we have, I'll just tell you, the composition of my army is, I don't remember how many katana cav, it's like over 10. And then 2 of them are veteran units, and then I have my 2 veteran monk cav. So what did you bring over in your army?
So I think something like 41 katana, no, just kidding. It's 14 katana cav, or 13 katana cav, a warrior monk cav with the war cry thing, and a light cav unit.
Yeah, here they are out in those woods. So the war cry on the monk cav was part of our consideration, but then otherwise you just want to swarm your opponent with numbers. So what they did to us was they just wedge charged right through all of my spears and pretty much chain routed me in no time. And I'm not going to lie, it made me pretty angry because I didn't think it would work. And so I was extremely elated at the opportunity to return the cav spam favor on these guys.
Yeah, it was pretty funny because we were laughing at the time of that earlier battle. We were just like, they're cav spamming, it's not going to work, and then it worked.
Yeah, we totally really got creamed. Like, I mean, bad. I mean, my army chain routed all in the space of about 5 seconds.
Yeah. And then mine followed, like, very soon afterwards. Like, all the Yari Ashigara. I think I had 5 Yari Ashigara. They all just absolutely chain routed, Yari wall and everything. So yeah, we were pretty mad.
Yeah, so right now I'm capturing the farmhouse, which gives increased stamina, which is going to be good because we're going to be in a long melee fight and running. And then I'm also capturing this shrine here, which is going to increase our morale. It takes my morale, I think, up from 16 to somewhere near 20, I believe, when captured.
Yeah, my katana cav had like 18 morale. My warrior monk cav had 19 or something like that. Pretty awesome. If you're in this kind of extended melee with your cav, you definitely want high morale.
And then why don't you explain what kind of retainers you were using? Then I'll tell them the ones I was using.
Oh yeah. Basically, I brought, of course, like the trading post one, so I could bring more cav. But that's obvious. And then I also brought the practice grounds, which gives your cav +2 melee. Right now, my katana cav all have 20 melee attack, and these guys are non-veteran, so that's pretty awesome. I had one that increased my speed, so that I could just charge them before they had realized it. And I think one that demoralized their Ashigaru. And they brought a lot of Ashigaru, so that was pretty fortuitous.
Alright, and then I brought the same thing, the Bad Omen, that gives -1 morale to all the Ashigaru units, which indeed is good. And then I also brought the Unbalanced Spears, which takes 2 melee defense from their spears, which probably didn't do a whole lot of good because I didn't bring a lot of spears. But then again, the rest of my retainers were similar to what Hannibal was talking about there. So this should give our horses extremely high morale. Oh, I played Renyo's teachings, because I knew that I wouldn't need...
Oh, you did!
So
that makes
sense. It took away 2 attack, but it gave me an extra 2 morale, plus the morale shrine, so I have 20 morale on my unveteran katana cav units. And then my monk cav have 21 morale. So that's going to allow our men to stay in the fight for a long time. So...
Alright, at this point we were pretty much thinking about where we're going to attack, because they were pretty much swarming this hill right here. So yeah, we were considering where to attack.
So why don't you go ahead and explain their defenses here, and then I'll tell them what we decide to do.
Explain their defenses isn't really a long task. They have, I think, in
believe in
total
you.
3 spear units. They have 3 spear units. All the rest is, you know, lone swords, matchlocks, and bows. But basically, there's this big hill, and we were actually noting the hill, and we were saying that we could probably sneak up behind the hill so that their matchlocks couldn't fire at us. But evidently, they were reading our minds, so they went onto the hill so that they could have their matchlocks shoot downhill and have some very nice shooting opportunities. So we decided to forgo that, and we instead moved all of our cav off to the flats over here. But of course, Air did leave 4 units of cav over here as a decoy that would eventually, of course, do some pretty awesome stuff.
Yep, so the decoy, like you said, is just to keep some of their units facing this direction, and that'll waste some of their firepower, when really they ought to be focusing towards our gigantic blob and using like a minimal unit of spears.
Gigantic is the word.
I'm not even sure if gigantic is correct. I mean, there's like there's probably approaching 30 units of katana cav coming towards them right now, and that's just insane.
Yeah, serious.
This is the Mongol horde of sorts, except without the bows.
And I have a mounted gunner. I'm not sure if I said that I had a mounted gunner. I don't think I did, but I do have actually a mounted gunner unit. So there's my contribution to the Mongol horde.
Yep. Even though they didn't quite have matchlocks, we'll just say it's gonna have to improvise.
Yeah. They had bows and arrows, but I mean, the matchlock can look like a bow and arrow if you know hide it.
Do you like tied a string to both ends of it? Like a
Yeah,
stretchy string?
and I kept like swinging it or something like that. You kept swinging it like a harp or something.
Yeah. And then you could like try and shoot the little lead balls out of it, you know. I think it'd be pretty effective.
And of course, you guys can all do this in Shogun 2 Total War, and I mean, you can really spook out your enemies like this, make them think that your matchlocks are definitely bows by, you know, attaching string to both ends.
I think they'll fall for it.
Yeah, it's definitely a high and advanced tactic, but the few of us,
Oh man.
we have mastered it. We've mastered it.
So right now we're putting all of our cav into wedge formation. Because this is going to give us the penetrating power to just kind of crash through multiple lines. Now, they did make a fairly smart move in layering their troops, but it would have worked better had they layered them probably even more. That way there was more distance between their troops.
Now, they do have a lot of matchlocks, but as Eric just said, they've layered them properly. So, I mean, if you come down here and look at the matchlocks, the ones on top will easily be able to shoot over the heads of the one down below.
Yep.
Now, actually, the charge is beginning.
Yeah,
so.
here's the insane bonsai charge. So we're going all in, mass charge towards one unit. That way we're just going to overwhelm a localized area. And I'm just going to keep clicking through so that my men will just slowly march forward.
Yeah, over here on my side, I discovered, I mean, they've got 3 spears and their whole cav force, but Air has a ton more troops over on his side. So I had it pretty easy going at this point.
It is in the woods, so you're going to have to forgive some of the obstructed views, but... Anyway, yes, yeah, you can see my giant cav spam blob here.
And at this point, actually, Air is bringing over some of his decoy troops onto the back of the troops that he's fighting against.
Yeah, this is Sushi Express and Patchy's Pain Train.
I love the names. But yeah, as you can see, we're just absolutely wedging our way through their massive troops. At first we were having a little bit of difficulty, but eventually, I mean, I think the main difficulty was that we were kind of separated by this matchlock Ashigara unit in the middle, so we couldn't really support each other and sandwich each other's units. But eventually, this cavalry horde against me, or not cavalry horde, I have the cavalry horde. The couple cavalry units that are facing me, they get killed off. So eventually, we are able to support each other.
Yeah, my 2 veteran katana cav collapsed their backlines there, and it's going to allow a free reign for my monk cav to come in and war cry. But you can see that my troops are taking a massive beating in the midst of this.
Yeah, and at this point, basically the name of the game is get into their matchlocks, because out of all these troops left, their spears are all faltering. You can see that they're all badly injured. So pretty much the only thing that could really hurt us is sustained matchlock fire. And they do have a bunch of matchlocks, so...
Yep. So you saw Shogun breaking through, or Hannibal, whatever I'm going to call him. I have my monks doing the war cry in the back of his troops here, and this created a big problem for my opponent. You can see the morale back here in his backlines now is horrible.
Yeah, it just dropped like crazy. And of course, we got this massive cavalry presence at their front. And you can see Air right there just went into this mass waver, but it stabilizes right there, and the charge continues.
Yeah, and so now Hannibal's troops are completing the sandwich effect, and the battle is definitely over for our opponents.
Yeah, because you can see that Air's decoy troops here, they're just completely holding them and actually beating them handily with the war cry from the front. And then our combined cavalry forces coming from the back, or I guess the front, his decoys are in the back, and together we can just absolutely smash the living daylights out of all these units.
Yeah, it's absolute carnage in the midst of that. You definitely don't want to be any foot troops with this much katana cav around. You know what else would be kind of gross? Can you imagine all the horse crap that would be on the ground after a battle like this?
Ew. Yeah, that's disgusting.
I mean, not to mention the corpses. But, like, the corpses covered in horse crap.
Yeah, add insult to injury. Have a horse trample on you.
I mean, I know that's a pretty random thought, but still, I mean...
Air is known for those random thoughts.
I mean, like stringing up a matchlock like it's a bow.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, you can see that the last of their units are, wavering and dying. They did have a melee general with them, I think, but I think he just died right there. And with that, the last of their units are doomed.
Yep. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty funny. And what's really funny is that we were so angry because we got beat previously, and
by the same exact armies.
And we were all mad, and then we got revenge, and so then it just made the whole thing an extremely laughable, like, extremely laughable situation.
Yeah, we forgave them, they forgave us. They're like, kudos to you, you guys did a good job. So no.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of think their cav spam beat us a little worse, but at least we returned the favor to them.
Yeah, we weren't prepared for it, whereas they were prepared for it.
I don't know. I think you kind of tricked them into thinking that we were preparing for a cav spam.
Yeah, exactly.
So the kills, I forgot to record the results screen, so I don't have it. But as far as the kills went, I think Hannibal, you ended up with about like 1,800 or something, right? And then my guys, I think, got a little under 1,200. So it worked out pretty good.
Yeah.
Anyway, hope you enjoyed that cav spam. I thought it was pretty funny. Any final thoughts from you?
It's hilarious. Just cav spam for the win.
That's right. Now I have to order the rest of my remaining men to get out the shovels to begin the cleanup process.
Ew, really? Come on.
Alright, see you later, YouTube. Hey there, YouTube. Heir of Carthage here. Gonna bring you some Shogun 2 Total War. This is a 3v3 on the rice field. And Alanaz, you see me play against him in the past in a tournament. And then, of course, Hannibal Bonaparte, a.a. Shogun, just did the dual commentary with me on the cav spam battle you just watched. On this one, I definitely want you to take notice of Almanaz's army. I'm going to kind of explain it to you. And, I'll show you all the armies, of course, that are going on, but I definitely want to explain what Almanaz is doing, because a lot of players, online today, myself included, get pretty frustrated with Lone Sword matchlock spam. Although, those units are beatable. You just have to bring the right armies. I've gone back to my Naginata build for this particular match, and I also have quite a few matchlocks, but that's mainly because I'm on the rice field, and the matchlocks are quite good on the rice fields, and I usually face off against many of them, so I brought several myself. So you're going to rarely ever see me bring this many matchlock units. I've got 3 matchlock warrior monks. I have 2 bow warrior monks here in the center. Neither one of them's, well, one of them's a 1 chevron veteran, which is really not much difference. My infantry is Naginata base, so I have 6 Naginata, and then 2 non-veteran katana samurai. So although I do have 3 matchlock units, none of them are veteran, and none of my infantry units, besides 2 Naginata samurai, are veterans. And that's just a Naginata samurai. So yes, they're tough, but in any case, so that's my army. And then I have 2 light cav and 1 Yari cav. Neither one of them are veterans either. So although my army has a lot of firepower, it's not veteran, so in some ways that kind of helps balance off against the amount of matchlocks that I have, because my infantry won't get an outstanding number of kills by themselves. Here's Hannibal Bonaparte's army. He's got a couple of bow warrior monks up front with a lot of upgrades, and then he's got a line of spears behind them. And then behind them, looks like he's got some lone sword and katana units mixed in. There's his general. Yep, and then over here is Alanaz's army. So Alanaz is in a spear specialty clan, which means that he can put hold firm on his Yari Ashigaru, and what hold firm does is it gives them unbreakable morale while it lasts, and plus, I think it's +6 melee defense or something like that. So it makes your units extremely resilient. And here he's starting a bow monk fight. Let's take a look at the opponents over here. Spongy has brought pretty much all cav. He does have a couple of infantry units. And he's going to use this cav to try and disrupt Alanaz's skirmishing. So here he's going to get this this fire cab in here. Alanaz is going to try and chase it out. But so far in the skirmishing, Alanaz was doing good in the bow fight. And he's also taken down a number of these matchlock units here. These units over here are less touched. But he should still have plenty of bows left to get the fight done. So it looks like he has 3 bow warrior monks. And then his core is made up of these Yari Ashigaru. Pretty much all Yari Ashigaru. And then he's got this katana hero so that when he throws the hold firm will affect several units around it. So this katana hero will end up with hold firm, which will make it insanely powerful. And then he's got his monk cav here for the war cry ability. So I imagine he wants to get those guys around the back of the army, shoot off a war cry. He's got his katana cav here. He's going to run in for some pain against these soft missile units here, at least chase them out of the fight. Looks like he's going to hit those spears a little bit, but they will end up doing damage to that matchlock unit. It looks like Spongey's going to countercharge 2 Yari cav, or a fire cav and a Yari cav. And so the problem with Spongey's army here is he can definitely assist his teammates and help them out, but what he can't do is then turn to face Hannibal's army. So that was kind of the drawback, of course, in bringing the type army he has. Hannibal's brought his own cavalry in here to run some hits on these bow monks out here. Or these are bow Ashigaru, or no, bow warrior monks. He just named them bow Ashigaru. It's clever. A lot of people do stuff like that. You can see Spongy sending even more cav and some infantry in that direction, though, so he seems to be quite determined to help tilt the battle against Almanaz, which, with all this cav running around, will certainly make things difficult. You can see it's going to get into his bow monks again. Now, on my side of the battle, I have my opponent very much outgunned, and I have equal to him in the bow fight, and my opponent is pretty clever in the bow fight. He does go ahead and start gunning for my matchlock units, which is pretty smart. He hit well, at least it looks like he hit a few of them. This guy's on fire. That's pretty funny. But he is aiming at my bow warrior monks and causing some pretty solid damage. His guys are veteraned up quite a lot more than mine, so he could probably just win the bow fight. But as far as numbers for numbers go, I have him matched. He's got whistling arrows and a bunch of other things going for him, though, so it's definitely going to help him out. But his guys were not 200 range. Had they been, he would have been able to easily win the bow fight. But again, I have 3 units of the matchlock, so I can push that advantage on. The skirmish fight's just going to go on over here on my side. I'm perfectly content to go ahead and skirmish his bow monks down before I start the fight. And it looks like the cav action continues over here on Almanaz's side. It's like Spongy's cav just won't leave him alone. Looks like a few of his guys are going to get caught on the spear wall here, though. Looks like he caused at least a couple casualties. Didn't get away with all that many, though. And it does look like Almanaz has pretty much won the skirmish fight. There's this one unit of bow monks here, along with some matchlock. And it looks like he's tearing into those units there with this bow unit, which is now being hit by cav. But like I said, the skirmishing fight's pretty much been done, so his opponent doesn't really have enough matchlock left to really significantly sway the battle. And those were matchlock warrior monks, so those are pretty cost intensive, and that's going to definitely be a big loss. But of course, you know, Almanaz lost his bow monks, but his infantry, you have to remember, is mostly Yari Ashigaru, so it's much cheaper. So yeah, definitely a cheap infantry corps. Let's see what we got going on. It looks like Hannibal is still trying to assist and trying to get rid of this this cav of Spongy that just doesn't seem to go away. Seems like it's just always out there. Yeah, on my side, I moved my matchlock warrior monks up to take a few shots at his bow monks and did get a few. Not really much going on my side at the moment. So let's stick over here to the fight with Almanaz. Again, this is the fight that I want to see, or I want you to see. He wants the Lone Sword army to attack him. And the plan is when the Lone Sword army attacks him, he'll let it try and tear through a couple of units in the center. But then at that point, but once his Lone Swords have started to tear through the center, then Almanaz will pop the hold firm once the Lone Swords are tired, because Lone Swords get tired really quick. They're a cheaper unit, and that is one of their drawbacks, is that their fatigue is definitely not all that good. So they get tired pretty quick from trying to hack through a spear wall, and then once he pops the hold firm in, his guys just will not have the stamina or morale to be able to continue that. So let's watch his hold firm army here. This will be pretty interesting. You'll be able to see on his flags when he does use hold firm, He's got an initial spear wall out front, and again, this is just a wear down factor. You can see he's got a second line, and then a third line, and then a fourth line, and yet more guys back here. So it's just all meant to wear down a longsword army and to prevent them from being able to finish the job. And you can see this unit is taking some good casualties there on the charge, but it is holding, and if you watch the kills on it, it is racking up kills pretty quick, especially being a spear unit against a sword unit. So it's definitely getting a fair number of kills. And then the second spear wall is going to absorb that charge, and then so forth all the way back. And let's watch for when he pops the hold firm. He's going to wait. If you look at these lone swords, it says they're winded already. Some of them active, winded. So they're already starting to get worn out, and they've not even quite broken through his front line yet. These guys are back to part of his flanking lines, but they're taking pretty solid casualties. Now, it doesn't look like all of his lone swords are highly upgraded, but a number of them are. So there he finally shattered through the first line, but his men are definitely winded now. Yeah, they're all winded, and I still don't even think Alanaz has used his hold firm. Let's see, I'm going to keep watching here. Yep, no, a war cry just got popped in there. So it looks like some of his units are war cried. I still don't think he's used his hold firm, though. So you can see that his Ashigaru, Lone Sword Ashigaru army is just... Oh, the war cry came from his cav from behind. Yeah, he's not even going to have to use hold firm, to be quite frank. These lone swords are going to get pummeled. Yeah, there he used hold firm at the last second. So if you look at their stats now, let's take a look at their stats. Look, melee defense of 20. So these guys are going to be nigh unbreakable. I mean, that's just insane. So that's a big-time finish there. That's one way to get rid of a lone sword army. Make sure that you either win or nullify the skirmish fight, and then have them have to plow through all your spears that have hold firm, and that's just not going to work. Now over on my flank, I think the fight's about to begin. My opponent had some troops here in the woods. It ended up being a spear unit and some matchlock units, so I just suicided one of my light cav in there to pin them down, while my matchlock monks continue to fire. So I end up getting the better of that situation. You can see my matchlock's just mowing his men down. He's coming in with some Naginata Samurai now, though, too. So I am going to have to retreat my men out of that fight. And then over here on this flank, again, I fired my matchlocks and tried to pull them back from any enemy infantry. I'm going to put them out here on the flanks. It's not something you see very often. Most people just fire their matchlocks from right behind. So I do try and do some flanking action there. His infantry is now pinned down on my Naginata line, which won't get all the kills, but they will help hold, and my sword infantry will get in there and start doing some fighting. I ran this unit of cav right here, light cav, right through, and started harassing their general and some of their matchlock units. So again, light cav was pretty good at some of those suicide missions. I still have this Yari cav that I haven't even used yet. These matchlocks I am firing into my own backs, but I mean it is doing quite a fair number of damage to my own men. So not necessarily, I mean, you usually don't want to fire into the backs anything other than Yari Ashigaru, just because it seems like they take the least casualties from it. But I'm doing it here, even though it's kind of stupid of me. My opponent does try and get his general in a stand and fight out here. Eventually I'll target him with my matchlocks. This is a better target. You can see I'm going to take my Yari Cav out to the flank. My opponent's right flank collapsed, even though he war cried me. He just didn't have the morale left. And here you can see my flanking matchlocks getting great shots onto his matchlocks. And then I have his troops outflanked here. And so they're definitely going to fall, being all outflanked like that. And then here's his general. I'll watch the matchlocks. My matchlocks open up on his general here in just a second. His general kind of looks like some crazy killers there. It's pretty cool. Alright, there's my matchlocks ripping into his general unit. I do believe his general gets away, though, even though most of his bodyguard dies. So anyway, good game to our opponents. I hope that gives you some interesting ideas there to see Almanaz's hold firm-based army with the Yari Ashigaru. Again, you have to be in a spear specialty clan. And one thing I'm going to do, actually, is I've already created the groups on Steam. They're already public groups. I made some different groups. One is called Heir's Spears, and the other one's Heir's Swords. The other one's Heir's Bows. And you can join those groups if you want to be in those type of specialty clans, because the Heir of Carthage Fans clan is actually a cavalry specialty. I do not have those quite set up yet on Shogun 2, but you should be able to join them in the near future. And if you want to be in a different type clan specialty, mean, the Heir of Carthage fans has had a good time. I'm sure a lot of people will still stay in there, and you're free to stay if you want. But if you want to go try one of those other different specialty clans, go join one of those other groups, and I'll have it set up. But just remember, there won't be a whole bunch of people in there like there is in the Heir of Carthage fans clan, I guess, unless one of those gets really popular. Anyway, I hope this gives you an idea how to take down some lone swords. I thought that was pretty clever, Aldenaz, to come to be run an army like that. Like I said, hope you enjoyed it. Heir Carthage signing off for now.